Auntie, what were you chatting with my mom about?
The auntie's face reddened, and she waved her hands.
Oh, nothing, nothing.
She quickly vanished after saying that. She had initially intended to poke more fun at Mary's family, since she had been scolded after they rejected the boy she introduced to them. But she didn't dare to anymore. That boy working as a civil servant only earned $4,000 or $5,000 a month. He'd probably never be able to drive such an expensive car in his life. Mary was just standing there in shock. William's mouth was wide open too, and couldn't speak. Neither of them could believe it. Mary took a deep breath. She thought Elise was kidding. She didn't think John could afford it. And she also knew Elise really couldn't.
Where's the scooter?
Bill realized Elise's scooter was missing and quickly asked about it. They had spent more than $2,000 on it.
The car shop was having a trade-in promotion, so we traded it in for a new vehicle.
Elise's face was all red because she was really terrible at lying. But John's face was very natural, and said this answer without batting an eyelid. She nearly fell when she heard this. Which shop allowed customers to trade a scooter for a BMW? Bill didn't believe it, neither did Mary. They weren't stupid.
Actually, there was a lucky draw.
Elise tried hard to think of how to spin a realistic story, but she really couldn't lie.
John bought it.
She finally said it out. It was much easier to just tell the truth. Mary looked strangely at John, and she seemed to believe it. This new son-in-law had surprised her from the first day he stepped into the house. He had stood up for her and slapped Troy, protecting their entire family from the very beginning. Even though she had not accepted John. But hearts were made of flesh after all.
All right, no need to explain to us.
Mary waved it off. Her heart felt much better after seeing how that irritating auntie had to shut up. She looked at John seriously but didn't say anything. Then she pushed Bill back to the house. From afar, he had seen how that auntie was clearly making things difficult for Mary. So of course, he wasn't going to be polite in return and was going to get back at her for Mary. He wouldn't allow anyone to bully his mother-in-law either.
Come on, let's go inside and eat.
Mary's cooking was not bad. Or at least John thought so. He had traveled round the world and had eaten all sorts of delicacies. He'd even eaten at places that cost $1 million a meal. But he'd never eaten home-cooked food. When she saw John eat like he hadn't eaten in years, like a tornado going through the dining table, Mary's eyebrows started twitching. She started wondering to herself, was her cooking really that delicious?
John, let me ask you a question.
After so long, it was Bill who managed to ask.
That car, did you really buy it?
He still couldn't believe it. It cost nearly $500,000.
Yep. It's just a car, no need to be all surprised. Dad, after your legs get well I will buy you one too.
John spoke without even lifting his head. This statement made the entire house go silent instantly. John now looked up and saw helplessness and hopelessness on Bill's face. Mary's eyes were red and teary, while Elise sighed sadly.
My legs.
Bill laughed bitterly and shook his head. There was no chance that he would recover. He was now a useless man. For the rest of his life.
I know a doctor who's an expert in this area. He should be able to do something.
John's words made Bill violently look up. But then he thought about it more. John was a homeless man. What amazing person could he know? This guy seemed pretty honest, but he really loved to boast.
Really?
Elise, on the other hand, couldn't help but ask. She knew John was no ordinary man. Even though she only knew him for 2 days. John had not hidden everything from her. And had displayed some of what he was capable of.
Of course. He is now busy overseas, but once he's done I will get him to come to Newark.
Bill became a little worked up. But Mary gently patted his hand and he calmed down. Could this new son-in-law be trusted? After the meal, Bill went back to his room. while Elise went to her room to prepare the documents she needed for the afternoon. John sat on the living room sofa and watched TV.
John, come here for a while.
Mary called out to him. John walked into the kitchen and saw a knife in Mary's hands. His face remained calm, and there was even a faint smile on his face.
Mom, you are looking for me?
Mary couldn't care less what John called her. She glared at John and said very seriously,
Who on earth are you? What's your motive in getting close to Elise? If you want to hurt her, I will fight you even if it costs my life.
Mary was not stupid. John so far didn't look like a homeless man at all. And he most certainly didn't look like the stereotypical weakling that would decide to marry into his wife's family. On the contrary, John was very strong and domineering. Today he had even nonchalantly bought a car worth a few $100,000. You call this a homeless man?
Mom, I can guarantee you that I have no ill intentions towards Elise, you, or Dad. I want to be by Elise's side to protect her, so that she doesn't get bullied by others.
Mary was still glaring at John and didn't say anything for a long time.
Why?
She saved my life before.
John took a deep breath, his memories returning to the time 15 years ago.
There are some things I can't tell you now, but please trust me. When the time is right, you will know everything.
A room door opened and Mary quickly kept the knife away. She whispered,
I will trust you for now, but you must not touch Elise. Don't ruin her.
Got all your documents?
John walked out of the kitchen.
Let's go. I will send you to the office.
He then pushed Elise out of the door and sent her to the Dawson Group office. Dawson Group headquarters, CEO office. Jerome asked Troy.
Found out yet?
Yes, Dad. Howard Hiddleston was just returning a favor.
Troy smiled coldly. He had spent $500,000 to get the answer from one of Howard Hiddleston's subordinates.
Before Howard Hiddleston struck it rich, he was also a homeless guy and almost starved to death. But John gave him half of his bun and saved him. They both once lived under the bridge together and can be considered acquaintances. Howard Hiddleston was just returning him a favor.
He was indignant. It was hard for him to accept that the truth wasn't that Elise had sold herself to Howard Hiddleston. But it was because of that useless John who married into the family.
Can't believe it. God damn it. Look at who you chose.
John was actually chosen by Troy. He had purposely chosen a homeless man who was mentally unstable. But who could have known that this John actually had such a past with Howard Hiddleston?
Dad, relax. For people like Howard Hiddleston, after they strike it rich, he won't let off his old compatriots. Once he's returned the favor to a homeless guy like John, that's the end of it. After Elise and family have used up this one chance, who else will help them now?
Jerome narrowed his eyes. He knew people like Howard Hiddleston only too well. They were cruel and vicious in secret, but made themselves look good on the surface. Returning a favor to a person he knew when he was homeless might even make him look better. But that was about it. He was determined to make John pay for embarrassing him. And he was going to make him pay more than what he suffered.
Have you arranged everything at the factory?
All done. Elise is definitely going to regret taking this project back.
This marks the end of Chapter 14. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel and comment your thoughts or any other novel you all would like to be featured here.